Welcome back to Let's Talk Race in Ireland. I'm your host, Harrison Paul. We got two headlines today, guys. One of them being Chidimma, goes by Chi Chi, wins Miss Universe Nigeria. Now, she's crowned Miss Universe, but simultaneously here, guys, check this out. This is mind blown. She endorses a bleaching cream. Check this out. I'm going to put it up on the screen.
It's been a fairy tale ending for the former Miss South Africa contestant Chidimma Adetshina. After pulling out of the contest over xenophobic abuse, she was invited to enter Miss Universe Nigeria instead. It's the home country of her father, and she was crowned the winner over the weekend. While we congratulate her, the event was tainted by a skin whitening scandal. Black contestants, including Chidimma, were asked to promote a skin whitening product. Don't believe me? Here's a clip from the pageant's own YouTube channel.
After meeting these girls, we realized that it was a best decision to be part of this particular event.
It's Skin White Team Papaya, and we just want to say thank you very much to Skin White.
This is what we represent at Miss Universe Nigeria. I'm super excited. I mean, this is the cream and soap we use back at home. So it's like bringing family down here, and I'm so grateful. And, you know, all of us would like to work for this brand.
Can you imagine that, guys? She is kicked out of South Africa's Miss South Africa contest, beauty pageant, because of xenophobic behavior, because of a colonized mind, and she goes right to the next place. Now, I'm not saying of course, she was asked to do it, and I don't think she went there to ask, hey, can I promote bleaching cream? Of course, that was imposed on her once she got there. But what I want to make, very clear today, guys, is I'm just so excited about these times. I'm excited about these times because I think the children of Africa are really getting to understand what has kept us down all this time. It has become the new normal for us to endorse or embrace our, I want to say, handicapped state as Africans. Oh, it's our corruption. Oh, we would be great, but we're corrupt. Oh, it would be this, but would be that. And speaking of corruption, I want to now bring in the next headline, because you know me, I like to conjoin two stories. And this is from New Africa. Burkina Faso has officially nationalized gold mines, reclaiming them from a British company. Previously recognized as Africa's largest miner, Burkina Faso is the fourth largest gold producer in Africa. This guy, Traoré, has been doing fantastic, has been doing amazing since he got in. And we're just praying for his life. We're just praying that he sees every moment through. And the question is, that's sitting here in front of everyone's face, is why hasn't this been done all along? You know what I love most about when I see this guy and how I always see him in army clothes, how I always see him, it's a war. It's a clear indication that you're not a president if you're going to sit in that place. You've got to be a war, a soldier. Because there is a death sentence on your life, unfortunately, when you want to free Africa. But let's ask some better questions, because I know a lot of people love to blame Africa's, corruption and whatnot. But let's ask one question here. I thought the British, the Europeans, repented from their ways, and they no longer had anything to do with Africa in any sort of way that was not, I want to say, let's just keep it simple, which was unfair. A lot of people will skip to Africa has been sold. Africa has been sold. But that excuse that we use, saying Africa has been sold, nullifies the argument that colonization ended. Because if unfairness ended, that means we would be seeing a reflection of the fairness. We would be seeing where the fairness begins. But why are we hearing a story about a leader who's gotten to power and he's had to take the gold right back from the people that we were told we were freed from? What freedom is this? Listen, let me put it this way. It is so easy for us to talk about sold Africa. Our leaders sell us to the highest bidder. I can tell someone's so uneducated from a mile away. If you look at the timeline of Africa's freedom and what that has looked like, or even financial freedom, if you can say, there has not been a move from when the so-called independence arrived. You know, we go back to Chidimma for a second. South Africans especially are so caught up in what the colonizer built in South Africa that they get hoodwinked by this facade of freedom. But when you actually look at things critically, my brothers and sisters, the wealth is still in the same hands it was. Yet you have been told by Elon Musk to get over it and that it's a thing of the past. Guys, as I'm looking at all these things, and let me just continue to run down this alleyway before I kind of can join in back to Chidimma and the Miss Universe Nigeria for a second. Where have we been so easily duped? And you know where we're easily duped? It's because rule number one, the most important fundamental to colonizing us Africans, is for us to believe that we are incompetent. It's not just the seizing of the land, the seizing of the money, the seizing of everything. It was the belief that you are incompetent, that you are second best at every angle, that you're primitive. I'll give you an example. I had a friend who approached me, a good friend of mine, and he was backstabbed in the workplace by some black or brown people. Now, this is a brother of mine who has just recently moved to England from Zimbabwe. He's a brother of mine, and, you know, he was just explaining to me how, you know what, brother, black people, we put each other down, blah, blah, blah. And instantly, I shared it with my mother because, he's met my mother. He's almost like a family member. And my mother said to him, son, white people, do each other wrong in workplaces too. What is this habit that we have where we run to make a declaration about our race? White people stab each other in the back all the time in the workplace. White people get each other fired because there's some black people trying to get them fired. They do it too. But you know what happened? You were told something so much about yourself. I was talking to another brother today, and I was explaining to him how if one black person makes a robbery in a space, everybody is guilty. I'm going to try and hold on to everything here because I've got so much. Just today, I'm in the store trying to get myself some new shoes, and some black young, about teens, 3 girls and a boy. And they looked to me like quite innocent. You can always tell. It looked very innocent, but they were all in black hoodies. And I think it's back to school now, so you're in your puffy jacket and whatnot. And they walked out of JD, a shoe store, and the alarm went off. Now, apparently the alarm went off as he had come into the store as well. The guy heard the security guy said to him. But they still want to do a double check on the child. That's fine. Let's be careful, right? I was in another shoe store, and I have to reassess myself. I'm in another shoe store, and I was also thinking in that moment, might I add, that I was thinking, oh goodness me, I hope those kids didn't do this, please. I'm a Pan-Africanist in there just to open that we're being misjudged again. My almost value rests on another black person's mistake because I know I'll be grouped in. I know that adds to the reputation of black people. Sad, right? Check this out. So I'm in the store 2 minutes later, and it's a white lady, the mother, and her son, her daughter walk in the store. Alarm goes off. Beep, 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 beep. And I remember assessing my emotions where I looked up, I seen who it was when the alarm went off, and then instantly my heart said, they didn't do it. Wow. Wow. Few minutes prior to that, I said, could be. Wow. Where did I get that from? Where did I get that from? I'm going to play a clip to tell you where I got that from. My wonderful, wonderful, wonderful revolutionary who I get a lot of stuff from, James Baldwin. Let's check this out.
What it does to you is the world does it to you long enough and effectively enough. You begin to do it to yourself. You become a collaborator, an accomplice of your own murderers, because you believe the same things they do. No, they think it's important to be white, and you think it's important to be white. They think it is shameful to be black, and you think it is shameful to be black. And you have no corroboration around you of any other sense of life. You know, all those corroborations which are around you are, in terms of the white majority standards, so deplorable, they frighten you to death. You don't eat watermelon. No, you get so rigid you can't dance. You know, you can hardly move by the time you're 14. You know, you're always scrubbed and shining. You know, a parody of God knows what, you know, because no white person's ever been, you know, as clean as you have been forced to become.
Yeah, that's true.
And you got somehow to begin to break out of all of that and try to become yourself. You know, it's hard for anybody, but it's very hard if you're born black in a white society. Hard because you've got to divorce yourself from the standards of that society.
Guys, I don't know why you guys don't like being revolutionaries. I'm telling you, this is some interesting stuff. I really love this. So you have to divorce yourself from the standards of that society. So back to my brother who called me and said, you know, black people, where is that? You got it from your master. That groups us all, that's quick to jump on the black guy, the movies, the media, everything, quick to penalize you. You internalize that. And now they make mistakes, they whatever. I was even saying to the other guy I was speaking to today, a friend of mine, and I was like, a white person can go and do crime, they're not gonna fall on everybody else. Carnivals, something happens in carnival, that falls on the whole, all of us. Not to mention, it wasn't even in carnival, but we'll save that for another video. Do you understand what I'm saying? So these things, we begin to internalize these things. And now I think it's a right moment for me to interject, right, about Chidimma and how I'm assessing. I just spoke there about, you know, a kind of like a behavioral belief about what black people do. But let's talk about what beauty standards. You're at a pageant for black people in Africa representing bleaching and wearing Eurocentric wigs. Guys, this is what I'm saying. The job of colonization and the job of domination, white supremacy, is not only for the black man to just go in and seize his belongings. It is like James Baldwin said, to do it to him so long enough that he begins to do it to himself. And what I want us to understand, I reminisced just today I went back to a post I did in July 2022 and it scared me. It was quite intense, I will say, quite radical. And it even scared me. And I was like, wow. You know, I was remembering when my eyes were first open and I was just filled with so much hurt. And, you know, it's like when you open your partner's phone and you just find the text messages, or you realize that this affair was going on all this time. Just filled with so much anger and hurt. And I was filled with that. You know, this brokenness, this realization of what he said, being born black in a white society does to your mind. And I'm realizing the journey it's taken me to declutter my mind and decolonize my mind and go on and grasp understanding. And I'm saying to you now, brothers and sisters, Africa's freedom will not come from even possessing the land, if that may seem as so. Because in order to possess the land, there must be a reconciliation, not even with them, with us. Us reconciling with what mentality overtook us whilst in captivity. If we do not reconcile with the mentality that overtook us, that came upon us in captivity, we will never be able to rectify it, fix it, heal it. One of the things I love about this leader, Burkina Faso leader, is that he references things that nowadays when I speak to those people who don't want to be on their activist wave or don't want to be on the pro-black wave, they'll be saying stuff like, all that is just, I don't focus on that stuff. I always find brothers who think that they too sophisticated for the fight of their people. I'm over that. Past is the past, but I don't cry about it. I'm strong-minded. I'm strong-minded because I don't think about this very important topic of our people. The fight and the freedom of our people. It just shows you a man here who has done something that we are waiting for African leaders to do. It wasn't about what degree he had. It was about how he reconciled with the mentality that even allowed us to be under captivity for this long. This is when I know uneducated Africans say, our leaders sell us at a price, our this sell us at a price. And I talk to people like James Baldwin. I don't talk to him, but you know what I mean. And I can relate, like, this is a man who sat in the dark room for hours thinking, why does a black man love his oppression so much? Why is it so hard to get the message through? Why are we in 2024 at our own beauty pageant wearing wigs, Eurocentric wigs, and skin bleaching cream? Why? Why are all our women, and I use this because it's an outer demonstration, but there's internal things of our internalized oppression that are not visible to the naked eye, where we are still trying to put on the wig of our oppressor, physically and even internally, on the inside. Behaviors, mentalities, abandoning ways. When I talk to a brother and they act, they're too sophisticated for the fight of their people, too sophisticated to think about an unfinished job. That is something you've internalized. Real philosophers see patterns within our community. Then you have the Candace Owens who want to stand on a high horse like she's looking down on Black America and whoever I can save, come with me, Black America. I'll take you to the white side. Blexit. You've not sat in a cold room thinking about the pain of the community and how that could have seeped deep into the consciousness of the Negro and broken his spirit to a place where straight hair is the only hair he feels or she feels looks best on her. Where does that originate? Where does hip-hop culture originate where we get so much joy from blowing the brains out the next brother who looks like me? We do not talk about songs about going across to that white neighborhood where there's riches and wealth, where they have oppressed us in the past. No. Only the one in which the guy who looks like me. Where does that come from? Where does that self-hatred come from? Where does the behaviors where Africans... I had another friend of mine who was telling me that sometimes he speaks in his African accent. His mom tells him, speak in your British accent. Drop that. I'm hoping that you'd fly further than me. That's why I don't think about people like Candace Owens. You don't know what it felt like for your accent as an African to be the closest thing right there depicted as primitive. To be an African kid growing up just hoping when you're in the presence of white people, your mom wouldn't open her African mouth and pronounce those words in an African way. Because it was more than just not feelings that she didn't speak English. It was because what it was attached to, what Africanness was attached to. And you were trying to be civilized. Where does this grasp to be civilized, this desperation to be perceived, it begins when Cecile Rhodes says, we have to civilize. I see these people as despicable. This is why history is important. You get to see the conditioning right from when they documented, from the first day they saw these black people. Okay. Now we're forever proving ourselves. Like James Baldwin said in that video, it's like you trying to make yourself so clean, cleaner than you've ever can be, just to be seen as an individual. And the brother who I was talking to today, he works 2 jobs. He's also one of those brothers who don't like to talk too much about race. I can sense it off him. I said, brother, you may not like what I do, but I fight for you. We can't have politics where we talk about, foreigners in a tone in which we talk about, and you doing 2 jobs? 2 jobs? We gotta create a society in which you can't, by the drop of a hat, be thrown in with someone who does not apply themselves to life the way you do. An historical agenda and curse that sees to box everyone into one tiny little box, which is what my brother internalized and regurgitated. When he calls me and says, Harrison, this is what black people do. Ain't that funny? Ain't that funny? I want us to understand, my brothers and sisters, freedom is not just simply seizing the land. It is going to be this process, indoctrination, re-indoctrination, or unindoctrinating, whatever you call, a reconditioning or unconditioning, and undoing, unraveling. Unraveling. And the only people who can do that, not people who come with their pretty little degrees and think that I'm going to get Africa free because I just don't have to think about race. You have to think about every single piece that got us in there. Every single piece of the legacy of colonialism that allows for the crookedness and the theft and the lies to continue to circulate, and nobody questions them. Why? Because the number one agenda was not only to seize the land, was to also make the black man believe the worst in himself. That way, years later in 2024, when we tell him, do you really think I still have a hold of your money? Come on. You're just stupid. Oh yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. I've always been stupid. My bad for questioning you, Mr. West. It was never you. My apologies. Maybe before, but my apologies. I know. The wealth of in South Africa has not shifted hands. We still have gold mines in this. We know these sort of things. Oh, I know it's not you. Apple is still stealing from kids in Africa. Oh, but I know it's not you. I know it's still myself. How do we have so many pieces of evidence and still at the end of the day find a way to blame ourselves and never question what that independence really was? What did it look like? What was independence, brothers and sisters? Was it really? That is what the quest have been on. And you realize, oh my goodness, it was a show, a facade. And the only reason the world could believe the facade was because whenever he said a word and whenever we put out a media, his media meant more to us. His say meant more to us. His word meant more to us. That means freedom was not only going to be an attempt to seize back the land or regain the land. It was going to be to rewire that when we would speak, our own voices for once in this godforsaken battle would mean more to us than his voice. And until then, we have absolutely no hope of freedom. Until our beauty means more to us. Until our way of life means more to us. Until our self-belief, our self-love. You walk with a bounce walk, my brother. You walk like you walking on a runway, my sister. But I'm here to tell you it is not deep. It's knee deep. It's knee deep. I'm telling you. Right. Thank you so much for watching. For anybody else, just wanted to add this in. If you are an African looking for your mind to be decolonized, looking to have very fruitful conversations where we can bounce off each other, where you can open up to me about what you are going through as an African. Decolonizing your mind is something that is like a therapy. It's therapy, actually. Honestly, I was just talking today how my journey began, and I was angry and went through so much emotions when I came to the realization. And really the people around me, one of them being my mentors, my mother, really was so helpful. And of course, having a black woman as well during that time, it's essential. And I want to be able to go through that journey with you. So my brothers and sisters, you can click the link in the bio and we can chat, you know. You can get in contact with me and we can open up. You can open up about your stories, about even a situation you may be going through in this moment, in the workplace, in your life. You might be asking questions. Am I doing the right thing? Is this me reflecting the colonized mind that I have? And maybe you want to be able to, someone to speak to that. Well, I'm definitely willing to help and be there for anybody who needs it. So please click the link in the bio and we could schedule you in. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I'm on a mission for you.